Welcome to the Echo Tips podcast.
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips podcast.
Available before the holidays, our initial release was calibrated by our science team to adapt content about animals and nature. So when kids ask questions like, Alexa, tell me about animals, or what's my fun fact? It will kick off an Alexa-led conversation that combines entertaining facts and trivia questions.
Hello, welcome to the Echo Tips podcast. As you could tell from our prelude today, we're delving back into the most recent Amazon event some 2 weeks ago now, but we're still pulling those nuggets out of the Amazon event and finding some really cool things that are going to be changing our Amazon Echoes here in the near future and the A-Lady's smartness. So in particular today, we're going to be trying to keep it somewhat short and brief, connected with Amazon Kids and some of the announcements that were connected with, devices were mentioned, but I'm more interested in the smarts, as our prelude suggests, and how these large language models or generative AI is going to affect the Kids Plus edition or just the kids who use the Amazon Echo. Now, before I get into that in any sort of detail, I want to briefly mention or say hello to our new listeners. Welcome to the podcast, and it's good to have you all with us. My name is David Ward. I'm the host of the Echo Tips podcast, and I'm an instructor with the New Vision program at Goodwill, placed here in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Southwest Virginia, and I'm in the city of Roanoke. So it's good to have you with us, and because of you and our returning listeners, we have well over 118,000 listens to the some 6 seasons. We're now in the beginning of the 6th season of our podcast, so it's good to have you with us. You'll find our episodes are nuggetized little episodes. We try to keep them 5 to 15 minutes. The first time I recorded this, it was nearly 20 minutes long, and so I decided to break things up for y'all. But we've been trying to pull out different nuggets from the Amazon event. In a past episode, we talked about 25 character AIs that were announced, from Socrates to, you might just have to go check out that episode to find out who else in a past episode. We also learned about how our A-ladies are going to get much more natural sounding voices, and so that's really cool too. And just a few other things that are going to make us scratch our heads or think. And so by all means, go out and check out those previous episodes. But before we delve into our content in any sort of grand depth, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Well, hello again, and welcome back. As I mentioned, this week we're going to be delving into another feature of the Amazon event, where it talked about some new features of the AI/large language models, which is an acronym LLM you may hear often spoken of across many different venues with the Echo. But in this case, it's going to be connected with the Amazon Kids service, which is free. And then there's an Amazon Kids annual subscription for parents that want to get their kids extra content. We're not really going to touch on that much today, but about how Amazon's going to be using these large language models, like we learned about earlier in past episodes, and making the Echo more conversational, more engaging for our children when they ask questions like, why is the sky blue? Or why does ice float? Or why does a giraffe, have a long neck or whatever, right? And a real dialogue back and forth. So we're going to play a segment for you guys from the event. I will mention right up front, it probably has already happened. The A-Lady name is going to be said a lot today, so if you have an Echo in hearing distance of this podcast, you may want to shut its ears off. Otherwise, your Echo may be triggered. So I'll just say that for a second. And now we're going to press on. So a certain part into the event, we were just mentioning of all the questions children ask, and then we have this segment we want to go to that talks about how the A-Lady is going to be getting smarter for kids. So let's go to that segment.
Sometimes I struggle to answer my kids' questions in ways they understand and in ways that continue to encourage their curiosity. Until today, Alexa has struggled with this too. But generative AI has opened up a world of possibilities to address this challenge. Introducing Explore with Alexa, part of the Amazon Kids content service. It's a new way for kids to have curiosity-driven, kid-friendly conversations with Alexa. The conversational will be similar to what you heard before, with trust and safety at the forefront, but it's been built to solve the unique needs of kids and their families. We started with the content. Explore with Alexa has been built with a protected version of our LLM stack, where responses are drawn from trusted, kid-friendly sources like World Wildlife Fund, AZ Animals, as well as the vetted sources used for today's Q&A experience on Alexa. We then use our model to identify the most interesting bits of information and adapt them to facilitate a fun conversation, such as reframing a fact as a trivia question. Explore with Alexa was developed with guardrails to ensure Alexa redirects gracefully to the conversation at hand and away from any inappropriate or sensitive content. Available before the holidays, our initial release was calibrated by our science team to adapt content about animals and nature. So when kids ask questions like, Alexa, tell me about animals, or what's my fun fact, it will kick off an Alexa-led conversation that combines entertaining facts and trivia questions.
Okay, so pretty interesting what she's discussing there, and so really interesting how they're going to be bringing smarts to it. Now, with these large language models, generative AI, really the challenge for kids and things is appropriateness, not inappropriate content being brought in. So it's kind of neat to see how they are channeling very specific resources that these AI engines are going to be drawing on to engage with the kids. Now, unfortunately, they didn't have a really live demo there, but the implications, the way of her phrasing, seems to suggest that we're going to be seeing this rather soon, maybe even before next year, here in the near future. So anyway, so very, very cool. Now, immediately after this, this is where she mentions the hardware and some of the kids, the Marvel one and the Disney character Pop. She does mention one interesting thing there that I don't recall I've ever heard before, where she says that the Marvel or Disney Princess editions will have a questionnaire or like a quiz feature that's connected, I think, to the nature of the one. So like if they get the Marvel one, it's going to be doing a Marvel superheroes kind of thing, while the Disney Princess one might be doing a Disney Princess kind of questions. At least that was the impression I kind of got from the way she described that, which is kind of interesting because it's just not a cosmetic thing. There may be some sort of linking to the way the A-Lady reacts to the children. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of tailored to that. So that would be kind of new and innovative. Now, she goes on to describe some additional features coming to the Amazon Kids Plus, which is a feature for parents to subscribe to that gives their kids access to a whole bunch of additional content. We're not going to cover that really in this episode, but if you want to find out more about that, by all means, feel free to check that out. So pretty amazing stuff connected with what Amazon's going to be doing for kids here in the near future. Kind of mind-boggling and makes you wonder. Now, in a future episode, we're going to talk about TV shows and how it's a challenge to find TV shows, but during the Amazon event, they mentioned some ways in which it will be getting much easier. Your A-Lady will be getting much smarter, whether it be on your Fire TV or on your Amazon Echo Show that can play back movies and TV shows and be able to help you find that show that has that actor in it who was funny and it was about this in a taxi, right? Yeah, it'll be mind-blowing. I think you'll be impressed. But if you have thoughts or suggestions for a future episode, we'd love to hear your feedback, or as these new features roll out and maybe you get a chance to play with them first, we'd love to hear your feedback on Facebook or Twitter at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. Or you can email us at info@goodwillvalleys.com. And just if you do that, put in the subject or somewhere in the note that you're trying to reach Dave of the Echo Tips podcast, and the message will find its way to me. Well, until next time, it's time to turn the ears back on your Echoes. Start practicing some of the many, many things you've learned, or we're hoping are going to be on our Echoes soon. And until then, we do thank you for listening.
Thanks, Dave. Let me tell you a bit more. Let me put on my official sounding voice. Ahem. Ahem. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Phew! Thanks for listening.